Welcome to Business Buzz with your host, Frank Hellring. Do you own a small business, or does that small business own you? Are you seeking increased sales, more loyal customers, lower operation costs, and brand loyalty? If you're interested in elevating your brand and expanding your reach, then Business Buzz will put it all together for you with expert guests, resources that make sense, and your opportunity to be heard. Get ready to call in with your questions and comments at 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. Business Buzz is out to put the buzz back into your business. Here's your host, Frank Hellring.
Hey, can you hear the buzz? Welcome, wherever you may be. You have found Business Buzz. I'm your host, Frank Hellring, and we're coming to you live, prime time, on the Voice America Business Network channel. And Business Buzz is brought to you today by Moda Business Solutions, because they have resources that make sense. Well, I'll tell you what, there may be some challenges out there today as you're running your small business. You know, you look around and you say, my goodness, where could I find that resource that I can trust? Maybe in marketing, maybe in communications, maybe in internet service, maybe in just simply looking at reducing operational costs. Well, I'll tell you what, you can't find anybody better than Moda, because they got a smorgasbord of benefits out there from soup to nuts. So pick up that phone and dial 858-251-4640. That's 858-251-4640, and get with Moda Business Solutions today, because they can show you how to blacken your bottom line. To get in contact with the show, you can call us toll free at 877-3-NOWBUZ. Leave me a message and we'll talk about you being on my show real soon. Well, shout out to one of our national advertisers, Letip, LETIP.com. They are 4,500 businesses strong across this nation, border to border, shore to shore, 220 chapters exploding in the Northeast. If you want to meet community businesses who are right there in your backyard that you're not in relationship with, at a breakfast meeting, a lunch meeting, they'll invite you in to take a look at becoming a member. You'll look over there and see an empty chair. Yeah, one empty chair, because that's what they're looking to fill, and you'll be the only one to fill it. It's not like going to a chamber of commerce where you got 2 guys that want to cut your lawn, 3 guys that want to paint your house, 4 guys that want to sell your house. We're talking about industry category. You occupy that chair, nobody else. You become a member of that particular chapter the next time you show up. Hey, you got all those people in that room being billboards for your business. So go to LETIP.com today and get with a chapter president soon and find out what it's all about in the B2B world. Well, I have been promoting a show that started last November, where we uncovered veterans being murdered in their beds, and not just metropolitan hospitals, but veteran administration hospitals. I need you to go to veteran, VETERAN, murders, MURDERS.com. Listen, if you're a veteran, or you know a veteran, or you just care about veterans, get that landing page, veteranmurders.com, in the hands of those that you care about most, which are the ones that picked up a weapon, went to a far-flung battlefield, defended your freedoms. Some of them came home, some of them didn't. But I'm telling you right now, the ones that did, and they need that care at a time they're most vulnerable, they literally are being murdered in their beds. This is definitely going on in this country, and we need to do something about it. So go to veteranmurders.com today, and let's stop the killing. Well, I'll tell you what, I am very excited about this show today, and I'll tell you why. Because my partner, Patrick Lang, kind of came to me and said, you know what? I've got a person who was one of the founding partners of my company, Certainty Management, who I owned before I ever met you, Frank, and then we formed Certainty Global. But this little lady has been one of the most incredible, faithful, entrepreneurial, and incredibly talented partners, founding partners of this outfit called Certainty Management. I am joined by Jill McAuley. She's a Certainty Management Director of Administration. She's also a partner in the firm. She's largely responsible for helping keep Certainty, its diverse team of affiliates in the U.S., Canada, and abroad, organized, and moving in the right direction with over 20 years experience of business administration, philanthropic, and client service experience. She is a valued addition to the Certainty management team. She's a former singer, and she absolutely is a thespian, competitive horseback rider. Jill was in a rollover automobile accident in 2000, driving home from college for her Christmas break, during which she suffered a severe spinal cord injury, leaving her a C5 tetraplegic. She has spent the last 20 years in a wheelchair, requiring significant physical help, and yet she still gets more done and contributes more to our team than most of us could possibly imagine. She's an inspiration to us all. Jill received her BA degree from BYU Provo with a degree in sociology. She also completed an associate's degree at Cascade Community College in 2005. Despite her limitations, over the past 2 decades, Jill has served honorably with her career and given extensive service to several nationwide and Washington state-based organizations, including the Little Bit Therapeutic Riding Center, the Here and Now Project, the Arc of King County, within her church and community, and more. In addition to her service to Certainty's team and the clients, Jill serves on the board of directors for the Disability Advocacy Coalition of the state of Washington. Jill McAuley, Certainty Management, welcome to Business Buzz.
Thank you so much, Frank. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, we're happy to have you. You know, Jill, I did have a gentleman last week on my show who was born with no legs, if you can believe that. And yet he is known throughout the disabled community as a professional sports person. He played Major League Baseball. He played football. In fact, he tried out for 2 NFL teams, if you can believe that. Now, he didn't get in the starting 11, but the bottom line is I did entitle that show A Guy Who Isn't Disabled. Now, you are in a different facet of that, right, in your life. You had an unfortunate occurrence happen during your college years. Tell us a little bit about Jill McAuley and how you've kind of weathered those storms.
Sure. Well, I love the story of the gentleman you interviewed. I look forward to going back and listening to that because it sounds like a very inspiring story. I grew up in the Washington, just north of Seattle, outside of Seattle. And I grew up a very active child and teenager. I did a lot of sports and horseback riding, as you mentioned, lots of singing and performing, and just a really great childhood. I have an amazing family, and I live in a beautiful area. I was able to participate in lots of activities, and I really enjoyed it. I feel very blessed to have had that experience. And when I graduated from high school, I decided to go away to college, and I went to a small college in southeastern Idaho called BYU Idaho, and it's just another campus of the Brigham Young University in a small town called Rexburg. It's very cold and windy there, but I really loved the year. I met some really incredible, amazing people, including my roommates who are some of my best friends today. And I had a really great year. I was, I just feel like I was getting to know myself. I was figuring out what I cared about in life and what I was passionate about, and developing independence and really feeling independence for the first time. And at the end of the year, I started to drive home in my red Subaru station wagon, and I got a couple of hours away, and then I fell asleep at the wheel in the middle of the afternoon, and my car rolled into the median and over end several times, and it caused me to suffer a severe spinal cord injury. And it's C4-5, which is pretty close to the top. C1 is the top. So I broke my neck, and it caused me to immediately become a quadriplegic. So I don't have any use of my arms or legs. I can't use my hands or my wrists, and I can't feel below my collarbone. So I was in the hospital there for three days where they did surgery to stabilize my spine. And then I flew back to Seattle, where I was in intensive care and then in rehab in the University of Washington Medical Center for 3 months. And that's really where I kind of started a whole new life. Still the same me, had all the experience from those previous 18 years, but learning how to do life in a new way. And it's been, I've been a journey since then. That was 23 years ago. So I've been in my wheelchair now longer than I was able-bodied. And yeah, it's just become part of who I am.
Jill, I have a great respect, for those individuals who have a physical malady, right? But don't let them have that stop them, But at the zenith of your life, you're going to your first year in college. I mean, I can remember when I, hit that campus, as a freshman, I mean, it just like things didn't get any better, right? You're out from underneath the parents' supervision, you're on your own to some degree, but, it's just a whole different world aspect. And here you are coming back, right? I guess on Christmas break, back home from your first year on a college campus, and you have this unfortunate thing happen in your life, do me a favor, tell me a little bit about, once the recovery happened. I mean, obviously you are now in the reality zone, and choices have got to be made, right?
Yes, yeah, it was very helpful at the hospital. They do as much as they can to teach you how to live a life in a wheelchair. So I did a lot of driving classes for my wheelchair, learning how to drive a wheelchair and how to direct care. I require a lot of assistance from caregivers and my parents, and so we also had to make changes to our home so that I could come home and use the bathroom and shower and get in the front door. We had to buy a wheelchair accessible van. I needed to, my bedroom was up. I had to go to downstairs before to get to my room. So I had to change locations where I live and exist in the home now, and learning new technology. There's a lot of really, really helpful technology that is available now that allows me to manipulate a wheelchair, to use my computer and a cell phone. So there's a lot of learning that happens that for certain things that now I need to use in my life. And so that was, a big learning curve, but, just had to do it. I just feel grateful to live at this time in a world where they're in a country where there's good healthcare, and I have technology that's available to me, and a family that is supportive and able to, provide for me while I was learning to do this new life.
Now, what would have been your major, Jill, when you were in college, and did you stay down that course, or because now you're in business, right? With certainty management. So that's a little bit of a radical departure if you're going a different direction.
It is. I never imagined that I would be in a business role, especially leadership role. I was going to school for vocal performance as a music major, as a singer. And so I did have to change tracks because the nature of my injury, I can't use my abdominal muscles and breathe very easily, get a full breath of air and support it. And we're singing with proper technique. And at the level I was, it really is like a full body experience. You need all your muscles to support and project your voice well. And so I did have to change my careers and my major. And that was difficult. I'd always seen myself as an active, physically capable person, and kind of identified myself from that perspective. How I described who I was related to all of the activities that I did. So it was also very a learning process to think about the foundation of who I am, and that I wasn't those things that I couldn't do anymore, but that I was still the same person. I just had to learn to exist in a world in a different way and choose activities and a major that would allow me to keep learning and keep growing, and not be focused on the things that I had lost, but focus on the opportunity to learn new things.
Jill, I really hope that there are some other folks who are in similar situations listening to this show, because your story certainly is not only moving, okay? It's definitely going to be one of my more memorable ones. Recently, you see this pastor out of Australia, I think it's Nick Vukovic or whatnot. He was born with no arms, no legs, 1 foot, right? And he's heard by millions all over the world, right? And then, of course, I had Dave Stevens, who played Major League Baseball on a Major League diamond. He actually ended up pinch hitting for one of the premier MLB players in history, Darryl Strawberry. It's phenomenal what you can do if you put your mind in the right place. And in your particular case, that's exactly what you've done. And we're going to be talking about that after we go to this quick break, because I definitely want to talk about what you're doing right now with this fabulous company called Certainty Management out of Henderson, Nevada, because you're a big piece of that, right?
Yep.
Outstanding, Jill. We're going to take a quick break here. You are listening to Business Buzz with Frank Hellring live on Voice America Business Network, brought to you now by CaliforniaSeniorGuide.com. Well, I'll tell you what, been a major sponsor of this show for now well over 2 years. And if you have a product or a service out there that you would like to get in front of the eyeballs and ears, because I am now the official radio talk show host for that magazine, you need to go to CaliforniaSeniorGuide.com today. You'll get a pop-up box. They'll ask you for your email. Punch your email in there. Don't worry about somebody's going to hack your computer. And someone will get in contact with you to talk to you about an 1/8 page ad, a 1/4 page ad, a 1/2 page ad, a full page ad like I've got in that particular magazine. And also Voice America. I was able to put them into that magazine. Listen, seniors represent $3.5 trillion of spendable income. That means they sit around these senior centers with pocketbooks and wallets full of cash. What better things have they got to do than find some place to spend it, because they don't want to leave it all to their kids in the will. So I'm telling you right now, go to CaliforniaSeniorGuide.com today and find out how you can get involved in one of the biggest marketplaces on the face of the earth, the senior community here in the United States of America. Well, I've been mixing it up with Jill McAuley of Certainty Management. What an amazing lady who had something very unfortunate, untimely, unexpected, suddenly happen in her life. And yet she hasn't let it stop her. And I'll tell you what, we're going to find out how she's become unstoppable. After my advertisers take 2 and 2 to take a look at you, we'll be right back with more buzz for your business.
All clear. Great segment. We're going to be back in 2.
Thank you, Andrew. Doing okay?
Yeah, that was good. I hope that I speak kind of quietly, so hopefully they can hear me well enough.
That's okay. No, you're doing fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah. This is a little bit slower paced show than I normally do, and I love it. Okay, because I want this to be. No, I'm serious. I mean, everything takes on a tonality, right? I mean, you're a music major, right? It takes on a tonality and it takes on a certain pace. And I'd rather have this be a slower pace so people get it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I really am hoping. In fact, I think you're part of some disabled organizations.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I would encourage you to grab the playback of this show. You'll have it 4 hours after we get off the air, and then get that in the hands of them and tell them to blast it out everywhere.
Okay. Yeah.
Because this is definitely something that I think they need to do.
Yeah, I will definitely get it to them. Yeah, there's some really great wheelchair support, paralysis support nonprofits in the Seattle area. One in particular that I do a lot with, and they, they're great.
Oh, very cool. Well, Patrick speaks very highly of you.
He's like a big brother.
Yes, he is. He's like a teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
Did he tell you, even though he doesn't like it, we're going to be live on stage together for the hard launch, the grand opening of Transact Card in November, and I keep telling him, we're going to be the Laurel and Hardy of the small business community, right? And guess who's Hardy? It ain't me.
Gonna do the whole stand-up routine.
Yeah, well, I told him yesterday, I said, we need to hire a comedy writer, because comedy, humor disarms. So for you to come out there, like really flat and, not engaged with the audience, that's no good. So when we do live stage, we're going to put some comedic into it.
That would be, but where is that going to be? Is that going to be back in Utah?
It's either going to be Las Vegas, or it probably is either going to be Provo or Park City, Utah. I gotta, my bet would be Vegas.
We've got about 10 seconds.
Okay, let's go. Here we go, Jill.
You're listening to Business Buzz with your host, Frank Hellring. To reach the live show, please call 1-866-472-5790. Again, that's 1-866-472-5790. Or send Frank an email at info@businessbuzz.com. That's info@BIZZNESS buzz.com. Now, back to Business Buzz.
Hey, welcome back. I'm your host, Frank Hellring, live on Business Buzz here on the Voice America Business Network. I have been mixing it up with Jill McAuley. She is an incredible lady who has not allowed a disability to stop her 1 minute. In fact, I think I got a good nickname for you, Jill. Unstoppable Jill McAuley of Certainty Management. How does that sit with you?
That sounds good.
Tell me a little bit about this transition into the business world, because Certainty Management is not a small outfit. And you are sitting there almost like the CEO's right arm, from my understanding. So tell me how that transition occurred for you, coming out of this situation of this disablement, and obviously some hard decisions brought you to this point.
Yeah, it was a unique opportunity that I definitely did not see coming. I became acquainted with Patrick Lang, the CEO and founder of our company, Certainty Management, because his father and my father grew up together in Southern California from the time they were just kids and knew each other from church and other activities. And so they kind of occasionally kept in contact over the years, but we were on vacation in Utah where Patrick's parents live. And his father, John, happened to call and to catch up with my dad. And we were there at the time. So we went and visited with them and became acquainted with them. And then they told me about Patrick and that he was building this company, and wondered if I would be interested in being a part of it. So that was how the whole journey started. And that was several years ago. And so Patrick had just created a small consulting firm and was looking to expand. And I came on to join in the growing process of this entrepreneurial effort, which was new and very exciting to be a part of something that's growing and has a lot of potential.
It's interesting is that your official title is administrator, right? With the company. That
Mhm.
normally I always equate to a number cruncher, right? Is that something that you really enjoy, or do you actually get involved in the marketing and the sales process of the company?
I don't do a lot of number crunching. I leave that up to Patrick. That's not my forte, but I do support the team. I do a lot of onboarding of new team members. I also work in kind of an executive assistant role as well. And I do a little bit of marketing also.
Okay. Let me ask you a question a little bit about Certainty. Did it really start in, filling a gap in the nonprofit realm? That's kind of the way I kind of saw it from the get-go. And of course, it's got expansiveness since that juncture. But I was the CEO of a nonprofit, as I told you before we got on the air together. And I know the drill, and I know the challenges of being, the head of a nonprofit, and the day-to-day, pain threshold that many times that presents. That's not fun.
That is one of the areas that we definitely are involved in and are developing our program to raise money for nonprofits. We have started out with one single service, and that was as a cost reduction service. That we have a partner, New Quote Group, and they help people businesses save money on their printer and copy costs. And so that was our one area of focus at the beginning. And then we started to see that there were more needs that we could meet in the world. There was, as we know, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and a lot of people businesses and individuals have needs and things that they're looking for help with. And so we saw the opportunity to expand our portfolio of vendor partners and services and offerings so that we could meet some of those needs. And so we did a lot of diligent research and found some really incredible partners that we work with. And one of those ways that we wanted to use our services and for our businesses was to use them to also at the same time raise money for nonprofits. And we call that profit with purpose. We want to do more than just make money. We want to make a difference in the world. And really, we want to help create certainty, which is part of our name, certainty management, for individuals and for businesses, so that everyone can experience, certainty in their life, which I think everyone is looking for, because it's difficult for businesses and individuals to exist in the world these days. It's a lot of challenges.
Obviously nonprofits carry a different IRC, classification, 501c3, 501c6, different things like this, right? And, people always say, well, it's a nonprofit or a non-for-profit business. It's a different business infrastructure. How so? They still turn the key in the door. They still have to pay employees. They still have to write, and pay for insurances. They still have to make payroll. I mean, how so is it that much of a difference just because they've got nonprofit in front of the word business? I mean, are you finding that to be true? Are the nonprofits out there facing the same challenges?
Yes, it's becoming more challenging to raise money for nonprofits, especially with the pandemic. People are watching their money more closely these days. And so fundraising in some sense is kind of a broken system, the old way of fundraising. And so we're looking to expand in a new way that they can help these nonprofits. You definitely need to have profits to run a nonprofit, which is kind of interesting to think about, but it's true. You need to be able to run the organization and pay people to run it. And, hopefully the majority of the funding that you raise will go to whatever your area of focus is. But we feel like that we have a new way to approach that problem of raising funds.
Jill, one of the things I found myself when I was a CEO of a nonprofit, I found that I was susceptible to what I called the tyranny of the urgent. Okay. Because every single time I turned around, it seems like I had another fire to put out. Right. Now, that being in a business type of infrastructure and, culture, if you will, it's got to be a little bit, challenging to penetrate, right? Of certainty management actually getting their wares in front of the eyeballs of someone or a decision maker, if you will, to get them to be a client status. Are you finding that to be true? How are you approaching that? Because I'm sure that there are some other maybe people out there that are listening to the show, or even nonprofits that would like to maybe get in relationship with you.
Yeah, it is difficult to get in the listening ear of a decision maker. We get a lot of phone calls these days, people wanting us to buy things. And I think oftentimes our phone calls can come across that way. And also it's difficult for people to change. Our view of what fundraising can be is different, and it's very outside the box, but we know the potential of it and that it can work. And so it just takes the right conversation to help people understand it. If they're willing to listen long enough to really let us explain it, then they kind of catch the vision of it and can see that it possibly can work for them.
Your approach is so unique because I remember when I was a CEO, you're dealing with grant writing, you're dealing with, high-end donors, you're dealing with trying to fill those spots on the executive board where the guy is going to have the influence necessary, right, to take it out to different worlds, to create donor base and all those minutiae, if you will, that all come together on the board table once a month for discussion, right? And many, many times it's not a very, very favorable position to be in, or a culture at that particular time that lends itself to everybody being in agreement, right? It's almost like in a sense of herding cats, in a nonprofit's realm. How do you kind of like, grab the rung of a ladder, in the nonprofit realm to find out where the first fit is and then just kind of expand it out from there?
Yes, usually start with just trying to get as high up the ladder as possible. You know, if we can talk to the CFO or someone who is a major decision maker, then that is really the best option, to start with someone at the top. But getting to them is often difficult. We've, warm leads, people who or as someone that knows somebody, that is really helpful way to get into, speak with someone who can help you out and get you connected. But just making just keep trying. Not every call you make is going to go through, or not every person's going to be receptive to your message, but just saying, okay, well, there is someone out there who's going to listen, and just continually trying.
Yeah. I remember when we used to have guys out there, or gals, fundraisers, right? You know what I'm talking about. These are professional people, that raise capital for small businesses. And what was amazing is when you got to the parking lot, the fundraiser drove up in a 550 Mercedes, and all the other CEOs were driving up in Hondas and Toyotas, because fundraisers get paid big bucks to raise these funds, right? Now, Certainty is doing a little bit different twist. And the fact of what you guys have done, you have created this incredible arsenal, if you will, of resource for the nonprofit realm. And you are creating savings levels, not just at the corporate level, but also at the donor level, depending upon whether or not that nonprofit wants to penetrate, right, their donor level with some of your products and services. But here's the key, and I think it's brilliant. Savings are created, right? And you are turning around and handing half that savings back to that nonprofit. To me, that's a very painless, very non-threatening, very malleable, very, very fluid way of putting money back in the hands of the nonprofit.
Yeah, it is. It's unique. Like I said, getting people to listen to it is sometimes challenging, but we do have a whole profile and of services that are oftentimes very involved with cost savings for companies. So if we approach a company or a nonprofit or someone that the nonprofit refers us to, we can create savings in their company, and then encourage them or tell them, this nonprofit referred us to you. We did this work for you, and we encourage them to give back. But if they don't want to, we will pay half of what we make on serving them and saving money for them back to the nonprofit that connected us.
Okay. Now you mentioned saving money on printers, right? On printing, right? That's a big expense these days.
It is a big expense.
What other ways or other vehicles or other resources are you presenting to nonprofits that create that 50% partner relationship?
Yes, we have the printer and copy cost reduction. We have a personal bill savings program, because people have a lot of personal bills, and those costs can be very high. So we can use the personal bill savings as a fundraiser for sports teams, or youth groups for churches, or churches in general. So that is a way that we can create savings.
When you say personal bills, what would that encompass? Are we actually talking about utilities? Are we talking about, normal day-to-day expenses that a family incurs?
Yeah, this is utilities, your phone bill, your cable bill, your water bill, your, I think even waste management. There's a whole list of bills that the partner that we work with will evaluate and cut costs on for you.
Have you come to California recently? Our natural gas bill almost tripled, in some cases quadrupled in this state, because California was doing much better than the East Coast. So now we're subsidizing the people that had the shortages, right, on the East Coast during that recent, snowfall, all that stuff back there. I mean, it's just absolute lunacy. So to turn around and look at that from an aspect of just the state of California alone, I would think that nonprofits would be eating out of your hand.
Yeah, yes, it's, well, we certainly hope that happens. We really want to help out nonprofits. We also have we help people apply for the employee retention tax credit. So that creates a large flow of money into their organization that then we can encourage them to pay towards a nonprofit. And then we also donate from whatever we make from helping them receive that tax credit from the COVID CARES Act.
Okay, now you mentioned to me that you basically help to manage the internal affairs of the company, including personnel, right? As far as the marketers, right? And you have quite a few people who are marketing for this company. What's the numbers right now in Certainty Management that you oversee?
We have a team of a large team. A lot of people are doing it on becoming a member of our team and promoting some of our services as kind of like a second job, and they do it in their off hours. But we have a core team of individuals that is doing this full time. I'd say maybe 20 or 30 that are actively promoting this, but our team is growing and expanding very quickly.
Well, very nice. Well, I'll tell you what, we got to take another quick break here, unfortunately, Jill. Advertisers have to get their message out there. But boy, I'll tell you, it's amazing to me, just sitting here listening to you and all the things that you've done in your life, and now engaged in a company that helps so many people manage not just their expenses, but help to keep nonprofit doors open. Boy, what an incredible position you now find yourself in. And I congratulate you, because I guarantee you, Patrick can't do it without you, right? Anyway, we are moving towards another quick break here. You're listening to Business Buzz with Frank Hellring live on the Voice America Business Network, brought to you now by Business Group Resources. Well, I have been talking to you. I've been pleading with you. If I could get out there and grab you by the shoulders and shake you, I would do it, because if you've paid taxes in the last 3 years, there is a little known tax credit out there called R&D. R&D stands for research and development. And what that means is, in certain criteria, you are allowed to recapture taxes that you've already paid that fall under this R&D provision in the Internal Revenue Code. And this incredible company, Business Group Resources, they've been around for well over 15 years. This goes all the way back to the Reagan administration, who inaugurated this, and it's been ratified by every United States president. And President Obama even increased the amount of limits that you, the business owner, can get back from the IRC. So pick up that phone right now and dial 877-857-6875. 877-857-6875, and get with my good friend out there, Ken DeBose. He'll tell you in about 15 minutes whether or not you qualify or not. And don't worry about an audit, because they've never been audited in well over 15 years of business. So get with Business Group Resources today and find out what you're entitled to. Well, I've been mixing it up with Joe McAuley of Certainty Management. What an incredible lady, overcoming disability to launch into a business career. And we're going to be right back after my advertisers take 2 and 2 to take a look at you with more buzz for your business.
All clear. Great segment. Back into.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right.
Still doing okay?
Yeah. So
All
they're
right.
great.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about your book in the third segment.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Okay.
Early stages of
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah. By the way, you are doing fabulously well.
Thank you.
Yeah. What we're doing in media right now, we're mirroring. Say, you're a little bit low key, so I'm mirroring you. Say,
Okay.
if I got somebody over there that's, like, then I have to come up to that level. But that's what we're doing right now. It's working. This is a very introspective show. I'm sure Patrick is blown away if he's listening in.
Oh, I hope he's taking a nap. He needs rest. He
does. I told him, I said, I'm going to get an ugly stick, buddy. Whack you over the head, put you out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's been resting pretty well.
Good.
That's good.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, I'm sure you're picking up a lot of the heavy weight right now.
Looking at all of his email, right? Trying to manage email.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I don't get anywhere near the emails he gets on a daily basis.
He gets a lot.
Yeah. But my phone blows up, as far as text.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do that because then it's, like right now, instead of having to slug through all the,
Yeah, it's much faster.
Yeah. People get to the point, it seems better on text than they do an email. In
Yes.
email, they want to write a book.
Patrick.
Well, we won't go there.
Yeah.
That can be edited out.
Yeah.
By the way, I wanted to talk to you about something. If you can kind of stay on a little bit after we get off the show, you do a really good job of doing editing on YouTube. But I want you to do me a favor and go back and grab that YouTube video that you put up with me and Eric.
Yeah.
And we need to do some editing on that, pull something down that was at the tail end.
All right, we are coming back in 10 seconds.
All right, here we go.
PPP, COVID-19, SBA, is there a way? It's time for Business Watch, where your voice matters. Call into the show at 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. Or drop us an email at info@businessbuzz.com. That's info@BIZZNESS buzz.com. We know you've got something to say. Now, here's Frank Hellring, Business Watch, where your voice matters.
Hey, welcome back. I'm your host, Frank Hellring, live now on Business Watch. This is the segment of the show where we open up the phone lines in Phoenix and allow you, my listening audience, to call in live and mix it up with me or my fabulous guest, Joe McAuley. So pick up that phone right now and dial 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. And you can mix it up live on Business Watch with myself or my fabulous guest, Joe McAuley, today. Well, Jill, I tell you what, we've kind of run through an incredible amount of your life, especially your business career now with Certainty Management. But you've got a goal out here now, right? That I understand that you want to write a book. Now, you're not going to be the first one that came along that wanted to write a book. But when you tell me that you have limited use of your arms and hands and lower part of your body, I mean, obviously, you're going to have the technology necessary to help you with that. But where are you going with that?
Yes, it's something that I didn't do a lot of writing before my accident. So writing for me is kind of a new adventure and I'm really enjoying it. It's allowed me to express my thoughts and share my experiences and the things that I've learned over the last 23 years. And it's really very freeing. It's also therapeutic to write your story, your own personal history. And I have a lot of support in that. And that's kind of what I'm focused on is just telling about who I am and the things I've learned and, just how I hope it can help other people.
Have you got a title for it yet?
I'm working on it, workshopping that. Workshopping that.
Do you have a ghostwriter?
I don't. No, I'm doing all the writing myself. I have several people though who are editing and encouraging me and lots of editors in my life right now. So that's really helpful.
I've been asked to write a book myself. Everybody looks at me sometimes and sees all the things I've gone through in the business world. And they say, gee whiz, Frank, you're a Renaissance man. You should write a book, and I just haven't gotten around to it. You remember the old buttons round to it. I just haven't gotten around to it. It's as simple as that. Maybe one of these days I will. But Jill, let me ask you a question. When we talk about writing a book, we talk about basically unfolding our life, right? And that sounds to me like that's about what you're about ready to do. And quite frankly, I noticed that you are in league and in relationship with a lot of disabled organizations out there that have folks just like you that would love to hear your story. Now, to me, that is an admirable thing on your part to write a book of that nature, because you never know who you're going to help, do you?
No, you really don't. This life, sometimes they're just along for the ride a little bit. And I really do hope that it helps people. And I am involved with specifically one really great nonprofit organization in the Seattle area. It's called the Here and Now Project. And it was started by a friend of mine, Kenny Salvini, and he and his wife run it now. And they work to connect and empower the paralysis community in the Pacific Northwest where I live. And they have monthly meetups and connections and annual events that really help people in my situation and anyone in a wheelchair. And so being involved with that is very fulfilling. I don't do any of the running of it, but I do participate in their activities and feel greatly blessed and uplifted just by the shared talking with people with a shared experience and sharing stories and tips and helpful tricks and things to avoid. And it's been really neat to meet with people and be inspired by them and, share what I can with them.
One of the things you mentioned to me is that you live in a little old log cabin in the state of Washington. I found that really intriguing, okay? Because of course we all remember that Abraham Lincoln basically educated himself by candlelight in a log cabin. I mean, how are you finding that, to be at your stage in life? In fact, I mean, do you have very many neighbors out there? Obviously, you're working in a very big arena with certainty management, all the different pieces and points of contact, that company touches. It's very, kind of intriguing to me that you're working out of a log cabin. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, we do live in a log cabin in a town called Woodinville, and we have neighbors. We live on like an acre and a half, so it's not extremely close neighbors, not a tract home or anything, but it was a great place to grow up. I love being outside in nature, and Seattle is very beautiful, so it fosters imagination and helps my writing. It's very nice to be able to work remotely from my home and live with my family and my amazing parents who have been a huge part of my journey because of before my accident, but especially after, they gave up and sacrificed a lot so that I could go to college and that I could come home and live in a home that was comfortable for me and that I could do things in and function in. And my mom was my caregiver for 20 years and my dad supported us. And my mom she moved away to college with me and lived with me for 3 years when I wanted to finish my degree. And so I'm grateful to live in a place and in a community that's supportive and helpful, and have a wonderful family who supports my dreams and encourages me in this new adventure with certainty management. And I just feel very grateful. It wasn't all easy, there were a lot of hard things, but I just feel very fortunate.
My goodness. I mean, you literally are living in a log cabin that was your birth home, right? Of your parents.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. I thought that was maybe your little corner of the world, but I mean, my goodness, we always say family first, right?
Mhm.
And certainly that came to pass in your life. Let me ask you a question. Fast forward for me a little bit. You're writing a book. You're part of certainty management. Certainty management is expansive right now, opening up new markets. A large part of that is due to Certainty Global coming to pass, which is a company that Patrick and I formed. That basically came alongside really what you guys are doing in certainty management. And now there's a lot more arrows in the quiver to be able to present both to large and small companies. And more of that's going to be exposed in the coming months. Let me ask you a question. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
That is a really great question. Definitely hope to have my book published by then. And I just want to continue with what I'm doing with certainty management and help build it and grow it so that we can hopefully affect more businesses in a positive way, help bring more certainty into people's lives, and especially in the nonprofit world, just to help increase the good that's already being done. There are so many people doing good, and we just want to support them and help their journey. I have a friend whose daughter has cancer, and it's a rare childhood cancer, and there isn't a lot of fundraising. There is a lot of money in that, and finding a cure for childhood cancer in general and her specific cancer. So just finding passion projects that I can put my energy towards and my business time and work to just really make a difference in the world. And hopefully, when I get to the end of my life, I can look back and say, I did good. I used my experience and this opportunity and my challenges, everything good and bad, to really help people and make a difference, and not just survive this life, but really thrive in it. I have a friend too, Meg Johnson, and she's also quadriplegic, and she always says that you don't have to be in a wheelchair to know what it's like to have life be so hard you can't stand, and that really we just all need to keep on rolling. And I really love that, because we all have struggles and challenges, and I just want to be able to help people and support them, and maybe be a light, to others who are experiencing difficult things.
Jill, can I challenge you a little bit in the time remaining we have on the show? And we're drawing close here. We've only got 4 minutes to go, but you and I talked a little bit about, you are an aged millennial, right? And we know that millennials out there are severely challenged in the job marketplace, and quite frankly, have little or no interest in being small business people or entrepreneurs to a great degree. Let me ask you a question. Do you see yourself maybe somewhere down the road, possibly being part of a think tank, a brain trust? This is something I was going to talk to Patrick about, because we're in the process of combining our shows together on Voice America. He's kind of the Hardy of the set in the small business community. I'm the Laurel. The two of us go together very well. Separately, we also stand, but together we are like a 1-2 knockout punch, for the small business community. And we're excited about that. But also, why do we exist? We exist because there is a need out there. And one of the biggest glaring needs is these millennials that need to be motivated to take on responsibility for getting involved in this huge realm called small business, right? Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, small business is very important. And the majority of our businesses in this country are small business. And I don't think I realized that. I live in a small town, as I mentioned, and there are a lot of small businesses, but I don't know how many are owned by millennials, but I, certainly hope to be able to. I would love to further that mission, to help and maybe mentor any young individuals or in college. I have some nieces and nephews, and I'd love to see them start a business or be involved with the business, help mentor them in some way that would encourage them to grow our country in that area of business.
So if we put a special outreach together, maybe a separate Zoom call, we started, do not despise the day of small beginnings, right? That's what it says in the Bible. I mean, we start small and we expand it out, but you would be open to participating in that with us?
Yeah, definitely.
Outstanding. We got 2 minutes left to go on the show. Jill, tell my audience how they get in touch with this fabulous administrator of Certainty Management.
Well, Certainty Management has a website. It's certaintyteam.com. And you can go there, and there's a lot of information about the different services that we have. And there's phone numbers as well. And that is really the best way to connect with us. I'm sure there'll be information also in the show notes or the description from this radio show as well, how to contact us. And we really do have some great services, meeting the needs of a lot of uncertainty and new ways to do things, that a new way of banking that doubles your buying power, we have a new way of doing business funding, a new way to protect people, protect children in schools, a new way to raise money for nonprofits, and kind of a new way to do healthcare. So there are lots of things that we're doing right now to help businesses and individuals. And please reach out to us. We would absolutely love to be of assistance however we can. We're just trying to be servant-minded, to help others. And
Jill, I said it before, I said it again, you are unstoppable. Don't ever change. And thank you, my listening audience, for tuning into Business Buzz today. If you'd like to be a guest, or you have a business that needs to elevate your brand and expand your reach, you can reach us toll free, 877-3-NOWBUZ. To learn more about the show, you can go to businessbuzz.com. That is the rudimentary website that we have up right now. All that's going to be changing, but if you want to know more about me, that's where you go. I've got another show coming up next week, all put together by my publicist, Dr. Andrea Adams Miller. You don't want to miss that show because we always have a nice surprise coming from my publicist. The buzz factor of your business is what we seek to increase week in and week out. Tune in next week as we bring more guests like Jill McAuley of Certainty Management and bring back more resources to help your business buzz.
All clear. Great job today, everybody.
Thank you, Andrew.
Have a great week, everyone. Take care.
You got
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, Jill. Couple things. One, that show that you put up, if you can go back, not in the show copy, but when we were talking at the end, we talked a little bit about Carl Townsend.
Okay.
Delete that out.
Okay. And
Yeah,
that's
we don't want to put something up that has that kind of sensitivity of information on there. So
okay.
wherever you see that at the tail end of that video, eliminate it, please.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing is I have a prayer ministry. Okay. And we're in the process of doing a teaching series with probably one of the most gifted Bible teachers you're ever going to want to meet. In fact, she penned out 400 word studies. You remember those old little computers where you had to hunt and peck?
Yeah.
She did 400 word studies back then. Okay.
Wow.
And now she put together a beautiful teaching series called Strategic Intercession. And every time we meet once a week, we do 30-second segments. Okay. And what I'd love to be able to do once we house it in YouTube is get it over to you and have you put a face on it. Can you do that kind of thing?
Yeah. So like, what are you envisioning would go on the front of it?
Well,
Just
like her, headshot, the
Okay.
title of what she talked about, that kind of thing.
All right. Yes. I'll have to talk to Patrick about that because I just we have someone who works from somewhere overseas, and he's the one who puts together all those video overlays of the images and the words.
Okay. I thought you did that.
So no, I should learn how to do it.
Okay.
Save us some money, but yeah, I'm sure that Patrick would be open to having his friend do it because pretty inexpensive.
Okay. Well, we'll figure it out. Okay.
Okay.
You'll
Yeah.
have that show copy in about 4 hours. I'll send it off to Patrick, and please send that out to all your disabled organizations. Let's get this message out there
Okay.
because people need to hear what Jill had to say.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Jill. Thanks so much for being my guest today.
You're
This
welcome.
was a very special time. And one of these days we'll get up to Washington and we'll meet face to face. Okay.
That sounds great.
Take
All
care.
right. Bye, Frank.
Miss Unstoppable. Take
Uh,
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.